Good evening and welcome to the PSGL Round 8 of the PlayStation F5 division. Takes us to the Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City, Mexico. I'm Tom Cairns in the commentary position, but I'm not alone. Nope, alongside me is good old Logan. How are you?
Yeah, you're never alone, buddy. If you were, it would be a much duller place. Welcome along to the fourth to last round of F1 22 on PSGL. I know it's coming to an end. Nah, I'm happy with this. I want to see F1 23 be fireworks in Las Vegas or something like that. But yes, we are here, as we have said, the famous or infamous Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez. The only track which I know that probably goes through an actual baseball stadium, which is quite a fun fact because it's not even a baseball stadium anymore. The other baseball stadium is just the other side of the straight. Quite funny that. The old one we use, of course, and that's also used for Formula E. But yes, 17 turns, 4.3 kilometers, one of the shortest tracks on the calendar, and we have 16 drivers here tonight. Most notably, we're going 17 drivers tonight. I take that back. Come on, Joey, pick the correct car. He's not going to have time. He's picked a McLaren. I think that's not right. He's a Aston Martin driver, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh dear, he's in trouble.
Yeah, hopefully, El Plote has been a subject to that because he got penalty points, which contributed to a race ban, which will have to be served tonight. So El Plote is out of action this evening after accumulating, I think it's 10 penalty points in a 4-month period, which a lot of them were accumulated last week in China. So he's not able to participate this evening. Looking at who else is also not around tonight. Looking on the announcements page. Nicholas Boyd is not around, neither is Carl Sarah. Yanetsky, Yannick and Toby are also missing. Reserves coming in, Boyer, Belbelby, who is making his first appearance this season. He has competed before last season in F4. Got his best result at Spa by finishing in P7 in that, which is not a bad effort. And we also got Borrell Nuccia, who is competing in the Aston Martin. So I think Jerry will need to be spoken to after the race why he didn't pick the Aston Martin instead of the McLaren when he was supposed to, but more on that later. Anyway, qualifying is about to, well, it has already begun, but we're just waiting for some cars to come out onto the circuit.
Setups, they matter. Yep. But yes, as I was saying, sorry, not the first time Joey's garnered some controversy here in PSGL, and we'll not go into a long list of that. Guess who the first car out is? It's Skyline. The guy who, he just loves to go early, doesn't he? I always notice he is the one that comes out early. I think he's the one that comes out early. It might be wrong, it might be to Mangle or something. But he just loves to be the early bird, and he's coming out right now, as you see, a long straight that they have to navigate. They'll be exceeding speeds of 360 kilometers an hour. That's about 220 for those you using imperial measurement.
Skyline's coming through turn 3. He's gone through. There are 2 DRS zones, well 3 actually. One on the pit straight, and the second one on the back straight after turn 3, and both of which are from the same detection point. So you have 2 bites of the cherry regardless of whether you get past the car ahead or not. And there is also a DRS zone on the exit, if I can find the right turn number, because it can get rather confusing with the kinks involved. It's on the exit of turn 11, but it's a very short back straight anyway. But at least it can help you get closer to the car in front of you. Don't see why that DRS zone is really needed, to be honest with you. It just seems too short of a straight to put one there, but it is what it is. As Skyline on this 4.3 kilometer circuit is about to take us on a lap. So Logan, I'll let you do the honours for this week and take us on a lap of the Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
And here comes Skyline out to the final corner, which is a baseball stadium, funnily enough, and down the one of the longest straights I have ever seen in all of my life. Got a very, very slight kink that takes him through to the first 3 corners that have been modified over its history since its use back in the 60s, which it first hosted Formula 1 Grand Prix. We come through first 3 corners, then there's a DRS detection zone. Actually, no, the activation zone. There's no detection zone before that. It makes its way towards the tight turn 4, and then the slow turn 5, and then a tighter turn 6. Round the grandstands he comes, before probably the most tricky part of the track. You've got to keep all 4 wheels inbound, of course. Well, at least 2 wheels, but it's better to keep all 4 inbound as he navigates the curve with relevant ease before entering the stadium, the old baseball stadium. Use a new one at the other side of the track. Another tight segment. This is a very different layout for Formula E as well, which takes advantage of the baseball stadium. And through the final corner he comes, the final 16 and 17, before going the inside to get as much time as possible. And the benchmark which has been set is a 1:15.467, but I'm sure that's going to come under swift contention as the minutes go by.
Very much so. And Skyline, who is second in the championship, had a week to forget really in China, because he found himself in a pickle, really, it has to be said, because he came together with El Pelota, who was on the same lap as him, so he was allowed to fight it out, but he was effectively out of sync really in comparison to the leaders, and Skyline got sucked into a collision with him at turn 8, and because of that he was the one that got penalised and lost a point to his race result, because he accumulated a time penalty for the contact, and he's left himself 20 points off the lead to McLaren's Chris Hallett, who is edging ever nearer to the title, I should say. So Skyline needs a strong result really to stay in the running. We watch, just trying to see who is on a faster, because we're concentrating so much.
His lap now.
Well, Roger's on a lap at the moment. Nikita's coming around to complete a lap, so we'll stay with Nikita for the time being. There's also a Red Bull going into the pits, so Nikita will be the next driver to cross over. I think Nikita made a mistake somewhere, hence why his lap time is not going to be very representative here. So we'll go back to Roger, because he's coming round the baseball section. I think it's known as Faro Sol, is the baseball section, I should say.
There's a new one though, of course, it's tried about 50 times.
Roger goes over the line then. This is only his 4th appearance this season out of 8. He has picked up a couple of points in Austria, but he's trying to make up for lost time really and try and get some points on the ball here. Well, Babelby's 8th quickest. He's ahead of a lot of the established racers this season, including Demangel and Miguel, so that's a positive sign from him. How is Hallett getting on? Because he's one to look out for most certainly in this qualifying session. He is, well, he's showing 13th at the moment, but that's because he hasn't got a time on the board yet. So he's coming to the Faro Sol now, coming towards the Peraltada. It's a lot slower this second. Yep, so he's going through. Is this going to be a low 1:15? I think it will be, and this lap time is good enough to put him to the top. So he's got a 10th and a half in hand over his nearest rival in P2. We've got Joey, who's on the lap. Leon's just come back into the pit lane. Cherno is on a lap right now.
Validation for Joey.
Okay, so Joey's lap is done for the time being. Cherno will stay with for now. Lakita going to P2. That's a very tidy effort from the Williams pilot. He's got a good record actually around Mexico, has Lakita. He's finished in the points in 4 of his 5 previous attempts, which is not bad going compared to a lot of the other circuits he has done in the past, really, especially with the fact he's been involved in the top tiers. So Lakito very much in the running, really, to pick up a strong result. Certainly a points finish, you would expect.
Yeah, we should. Speaking of past results, I should mention the only driver that has ever won here is Flying Dutch Roger, albeit in F14 in season 30. So, would we say that's quite representative of past performances, Tom, considering it's a long time ago and, of course, in a lower division? No offence, by the way.
Yeah, well, it's a very competitive series, is the PSGL. You know, no matter where you end up in the division, I would probably say looking at it around from F9 upwards, because I think from F9 downwards you are allowed to use assists, whereas in the tiers of F8 and above you're not allowed to use assists, I don't think. So I think what I'd imagine with Roger in terms of how he's gone about it is he's done it without the need of assists, and he's used that to his advantage to help him get himself up the ladder to where he is in F5. So there's two sides of the coin you could look at it. Yes, he was in a lower tier, and yes, maybe it was maybe a little bit too easy in on one front, but he wasn't always winning races. So it's still a very competitive division in terms of where he ended up in where he won a few seasons back. So Skyline's gone over the line to start his second time lap. So he'll be looking to improve on his 1 minute 15.4. He certainly needs to try and get back in front of Likitu at the minimum and put some pressure on Hallett in front. In fact, he'll need to try and beat Hallett and try and make him work for that pole position. There's 9.5 minutes to go. So it is a short circuit in comparison to a lot of the other tracks. So the drivers have more time to get 3 runs in before the clock reaches 0.
Yes, indeed. So, as we have said, a 4.3 kilometre circuit with 17 turns. The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez is named after the brothers Ricardo and Pedro Rodriguez, who unfortunately passed away sometime during their racing career, which is quite a shame. 1962 non-championship race, the 1962 Mexican Grand Prix, was when Ricardo lost his life. And Pedro Rodriguez sadly was killed at the Norris Ring in Nuremberg in 1971 during an Inter-Series sports car race. May they rest in peace, I should say, of course. And Skyline goes to the top by 0.06 of a second. And Chris Hallett's now got his work cut out, but that ain't going to be the only one. Riley's just rejoined the session. He had a bit of connection issues. Alex de G, Skyline's teammate's coming towards the line right as I speak, and he's gone right to the outside to start a new lap. I guess the glitch has come back to haunt us. Thinks they're starting a lap, but really they're not. Just the game just likes to mess with our heads. Coolman coming through.
Oh, he's in.
Oh dear, he's hit the wall.
He's not terminally wrecked though, so he was able to get out of it. No. Luckily, he avoids Borrell, who's just gone past him in the Aston Martin. Borrell, who is on a good lap actually, he's coming through. Oh no, he's invalidated that lap now, so he may as well come back in. So, but it's that could have been costly that for Coleman because he's picked up already a pole position this season in Bahrain, but he hasn't had the same amount of luck on his side because he's struggled in a lot of the other races, to be honest with you. Hence why he's not really been in genuine contention for the title, to be honest with you. But Joey is on an invalidated lap. Boyer Lulu's coming round in the AlphaTauri. In terms of how Boyer has been doing this season, because he is classed as a reserve, he's currently, where is he in the championship? He's 17th, he's picked up 6 points. Those 6 points came in Baku in that race of attrition. He goes 9th fastest, and nearly a whole second off the pace. But there's still some work to do for him there out the 17 on track. Both Mercedes drivers still yet to get a time on the board. Cherno and Leon trying to get a lap time really, get at least a banker in. But I think at this stage of the session now they need more than a banker to have any hope of propelling themselves up the order. But Belby is coming through in the Haas. He's going through the S's now, the most daunting part of the Mexico City circuit. And he very nearly dropped it, but collected it. And whilst lap times are important, it's also important to make sure you've got good car control in situations like that. And clearly, Babelby managed that very well.
Yes, races have been won or lost here at the S's section of this track. I remember doing a race in F7, and it was coming down to the final 2 laps. The safety car came in, and there were 6 cars fighting. It was Rastaz and BB8, the prime contenders for the championship. Rastaz had a penalty, BB8 just had to keep it clean, but he had 2 warnings, and with 1 lap to go, whilst Rastaz was ahead by about 1 second, BB8 triggered a penalty, giving himself a 3-second penalty as well. That meant Rastaz won the race with about half a lap to go. And Lakitu is at top of the table. He loves this track, Tom.
He definitely does.
He loves this track.
He definitely does. He was up in sector 2 as well, and he looked on course to try and snatch pole away. And Hallett had a moment, and he's exceeded track limits, unfortunately, so that lap has gone in the bin. Leon's gone up to 5th place with his first time lap. Azam is coming around to complete his second attempt. Now, how is he faring with his 1 minute 15.5? Is this a quicker lap time than before? It is, and it's good enough for 6th fastest, but I don't think that's moved him up a position, has it? So he stays where he is. Cherno is 8th quickest in the other Mercedes. In terms of who else is out there, Skyline is coming back into the pit lane very, very shortly, I believe, unless he's already gone for another lap. In fact, he's going for another lap. So how much ERS has he got left in there? Oh, he's got loads, actually. I wonder if he maybe burnt off a little bit of fuel, because on a track like this, where it's actually shorter, the game only allows you to go out on circuit on a minimal amount of fuel, which may not be ideal to a driver. Sometimes you may have to do an extra prep lap, if you say, before you start getting the hammer down, but it can come at the cost of tyre grip.
Yeah, it can indeed. I should just mention, by the way, the only driver, the only two drivers here that have failed to score all season and not be a reserve are Riley and Joey, and they're both here tonight. Joey is yet to set a time. Riley has a very representative time right now. He is currently in... I'm having problems, by the way, trying to navigate these screens. Sorry. Riley has a time that's just about an eighth of a second behind Lakitu, so he could be in the running tonight to get in his first points of the season, and he probably needs it. He's not scored in the 3 races he's participated in. Joey has participated in 5 and failed to finish 4 of them. That I don't mean to negatively criticize drivers, but we don't want to be seeing this form as drivers. We want to be putting in consistent results. No matter where you are, you want to be achieving your goals.